Being a rapper from the hood doesn't guarantee safety. Sometimes the biggest threats come from their own people, from Nipsey Hussle getting killed by someone he knew and a fellow gang member.
Michael Moore says Holder and Hussle knew each other, but would not say what the discussion was about or the motive that led to the shooting. Police believe Holder is a gang member, but this was not a gang shooting. It was a personal issue.
To Moneybagg Yo's own crew allegedly turning on him.
Sean said, black youngster, yo got it, Moneybagg.
I ain't finna sit over here and play with no do all this extra. Man, you that to know. I let you do this.
To Big L supposedly being murdered by his childhood friend.
The bull happens. Then, the other friend couldn't get Big Lee because Big Lee was locked up. So what they do? They get Big L.
These are rappers who became the #1 targets in their own hood. Young Jeezy is without a doubt one of the most influential figures in hip-hop, but what a lot of people don't realize is that his rise to fame might not have happened without the Black Mafia family, BMF.
I look at Jeezy, the support that they offered him in those early stages, I don't think there's Jeezy without BMF. Right.
By now, everybody knows the story of BMF, the two brothers Demetrius Big Meech Flannery and Terry Southwest T. Flannery, who built one of the biggest drug empires in history.
Demetrius Flannery and his brother, Terry, ran one of the country's largest drug operations during the late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. The pair had hundreds of employees, generated hundreds of millions of dollars.
But BMF wasn't just about the streets. They had their hands deep in the music industry too, using their influence and money to launch the careers of several hip-hop artists, including young Jeezy.
They said you actually part of BMF Records. You still signing? No, that's never. That's my okay. Man, shouts out to Blue in my Haiti City. They hold it down. That's my like them that's like my extended family, man. Them my man. They support me in every shape, form, and fashion. I do the same, man. Real talk.
Even though Jeezy was never officially signed to BMF, he had a tight relationship with Big Meech. Meech took Jeezy under his wing, giving him the kind of backing that most up-and-coming rappers could only dream of. With BMF behind him, Jeezy's career skyrocketed. The bond between Jeezy and Meech went beyond business. It was built on mutual respect. Jeezy has always spoken highly of Meech, calling him a generous leader who genuinely cared about his people.
What do you think made Meech, drew so many people to Meech? What was it?
Because he cared, man. Like he really did. Like like he's a genuine dude.
One of the most legendary stories from their time together was their infamous trip to Cancun, a trip that has gone down in hip-hop history as one of the wildest vacations ever. Big Meech chartered an entire plane and brought 300 people with him, a whole plane filled with Meech's crew, including Jeezy, ready to party like there was no tomorrow.
One time, this called me and said, "Yo, Jeezy, we going to Cancun." I said, "Who, Meech?" "We." "Who me?" "Everybody. Call everybody you know." This chartered a plane, not a jet, a plane, and took 300 people to Cancun, Mexico.
But then, everything came crashing down when the BMF empire collapsed under the weight of a massive federal investigation. The dynamic between Jeezy and the crew completely shifted. When things were good, Jeezy was right there with them, enjoying the benefits. But when the feds started cracking down, some BMF members began to feel like Jeezy turned his back on them to save his own career.
If you and your homeboys just walking through the mall, and it's 3 of y'all, and then 15 guys come and say, "We finna beat," and the run, that was Jeezy. He was the nigga that ran.
Over the years, plenty of BMF affiliates have spoken out about this, expressing frustration over what they saw as Jeezy's disloyalty. The most serious accusation is that Jeezy only rocked with BMF when the money was flowing. But the moment things got dangerous, he distanced himself and went silent.
He abandoned the name when he got hot.
I mean, look, what's understood don't even got to be talked about.
Understood.
Everybody know, man. It ain't no secret.
One particularly crazy moment from this fallout was shared by Clem, Jeezy's former right-hand man. According to Clem, things got so bad that they almost got shot by a BMF member during a heated confrontation. He described the moment as incredibly tense. The BMF member was holding a gun, ready to pull the trigger. But instead of backing down, Jeezy stood his ground, staring the guy down and daring him to shoot. Luckily, the situation didn't escalate.
Jeezy called his bluff. Jeezy was like, "Y'all ain't gonna shoot." And Jeezy took the gun and put it to his head and was like, shoot, gonna shoot.
Despite all the drama, Jeezy has always tried to keep things diplomatic when discussing BMF, especially Big Meech. He's spoken highly of Meech's leadership and influence, but he's also been firm about one thing. He was never involved in BMF's drug business. Jeezy has maintained that he and Meech were just close friends who hung out, and that's as far as it went.
It was like we was hanging and being in the same spots, but like me and Meech was really like that though.
Right.
Me, Meech and J-Bo, like them were my guys.
It's been 5 years since the devastating loss of Nipsey Hussle, and yet, the pain still feels fresh. The streets of LA were rocked when news broke that Nipsey had been gunned down in front of his Marathon clothing store. The incident sent shockwaves across the world as videos surfaced of people desperately trying to save him, rushing him to the hospital.
It's the dramatic last video of rapper Nipsey Hussle, gunned down in Los Angeles. Oh my goodness! Paramedics worked frantically to keep...
Sadly, despite everyone's hopes, Nipsey was pronounced dead not long after. Fast forward to 2023, and justice was finally served when his killer, Eric Holder, was sentenced to 60 years in prison.
Back here at home, hip-hop star Nipsey Hussle was gunned down in 2019, and today, his killer, Eric Holder Jr., was sentenced to 60 years to life.
Now, Eric Holder wasn't just some random shooter. He was a member of the Rollin' 60s Crips, the same neighborhood Nipsey was from. For years, there have been whispers that Holder may not have acted alone, and that the order to kill Nipsey may have come from one of the top figures in the Rollin' 60s, none other than Big U. The tension between Nipsey and Big U wasn't a secret. There had been conflict between the two for years. One of the most talked about pieces of evidence comes from rapper Loose Cannon, who claims that Big U actually knew Nipsey was going to get killed, 30 minutes before it happened.
You get a call from Big U telling you Nipsey just got killed.
Yeah.
You panic, call Nip. Nip answered the phone.
Yeah.
According to Loose, he even spoke to Nipsey right before the shooting. But at the time, he didn't think much of what Big U had supposedly said. It wasn't until later, when he looked back on the situation, that he started putting the pieces together.
You don't even warn him that you got that call from dude.
No, because their relationship was so up. It'd be like they be hot one minute, then they be cold the next minute.
If true, that means Big U might have slipped up by reaching out too early, basically exposing that he knew something before it went down.
You
and
just
30 minutes after you get out the phone with Nip, he get killed.
Yeah, I got it.
So you think he hit you a little too early?
Yep, he hit me a little bit too early.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Loose Cannon has actually gone on record multiple times accusing Big U of backdooring Nipsey.
Big U, you keep posting pictures. Like, bro, nobody is believing that. That's after Nipsey death. Like, but you knew what was gonna happen, and you gave the okay for it to happen. You didn't stop it.
There's even a video floating around where Nipsey himself seems to be warning other members of the Rollin' 60s to stay away from Big U and his circle.
A lot of old man. You grew up around these wondering why they was so spiteful toward young niggas like that.
Then there's another clip that's been gaining traction, one where Big U is on a live stream and literally laughs at a comment about Nipsey. That moment alone had people side-eyeing him even more.
Justice for Nip.
A young boy would have been there like, yeah, you did.
And now, fast forward to Wednesday, March 19th, and federal authorities came through heavy, arresting Big U along with several alleged members of the Rollin' 60s, including rapper and No Jumper affiliate Brick Baby. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California laid out a massive indictment against Big U, painting him as more than just a high-ranking gang member. According to them, he was basically running the Rollin' 60s like a full-blown criminal empire under the name Big U Enterprise. The list of charges is wild: murder, extortion, robbery, fraud, illegal gambling, and more.
Gene Henley Jr., a career criminal known as Big U, who used his contacts and leadership role in the Crips criminal street gang, the entertainment industry.
With everything coming down on him, a lot of people believe that the truth about Nipsey's murder might finally come to light. Next up is Snoop Dogg. After he blew up, his own crew, the Long Beach Crips, started feeling some type of way. They thought Snoop wasn't doing enough for them. He kept repping and name-dropping the set, but they claimed he wasn't giving back. One specific incident that really rubbed them the wrong way was brought up by a Crip from Long Beach named Flossie. According to him, one of the homies had opened up a new restaurant in the hood, and it was quickly becoming a popular spot. Since Snoop had the platform and the influence, they reached out, hoping he could invest in the business, or at least promote it on his Instagram to help it gain even more traction.
My homeboy Kenneth had a little soul food restaurant, you know what I'm saying? And I was hanging around, and the homies was hanging up there until this was beginning to be the spot. So the homies was like, they was getting Snoop, you don't want Snoop to invest in it, you know? We don't want you to put no money up, nigga, you know? Put us out there.
But instead of supporting, Snoop reportedly brushed them off. Flossie claimed that Snoop acted like they were just looking for a handout, like they were always expecting him to give them money, when that wasn't the case at all.
I'm hearing all this sidebar chatter that Snoop, and I'm reading texts back and forth with Snoop to the homies, and he talking to homies like we peasants or something, like he gonna make the world think always depend on him for money.
Then came the rumors. Word started spreading that Snoop had been straight up banned from his old neighborhood. The story was that he pulled up to Long Beach with 3 or 4 cars full of security, but instead of being welcomed, he was rejected. The gang wasn't showing him any love, and supposedly, they had made it clear that he wasn't one of them anymore. Naturally, this didn't sit right with Snoop. He wasn't about to let people spread stories like that without addressing it. In a video response, he shut down the rumors, saying none of that ever happened. According to him, it was just a bunch of bitter gang members trying to stir up drama because he was focusing on mentoring young talent instead of associating with them.
You niggas 50 years old. You can't get a job, cuz? You mad at me, cuz? Cause I won't help you no more? Cause I can't do nothing to help you no more? Cause I'm focused on helping out the kids? But mad and jealous at me because of what I'm doing? Trying to blemish my name and my character?
A lot of people, especially those from Long Beach, had Snoop's back on this one. They argued that if it wasn't for Snoop, Long Beach wouldn't have the recognition it has today. To them, this whole situation just boiled down to jealousy.
Snoop had been away from the city, but at the same time, he also gave back in many ways. But you know, you always gonna have haters when you popping.
Yeah.
You don't have. I mean, if you don't have haters, you're not popping.
He don't own nobody, you know, and he was doing for the youth. He been doing, his football league been around, but people don't look at it like.
His football league done got mothers happy and sons out the hood.
Next up is Moneybagg Yo. After Moneybagg Yo caught the attention of Yo Gotti, the boss of CMG, Collective Music Group, Yo Gotti tried to sign him not once, but twice. By the third attempt, Moneybagg had already made a name for himself in the streets, and they built up enough trust that he finally signed on the dotted line. Yo Gotti put a $200K bag in Moneybagg's hands as part of the deal, and just like that, Moneybagg was on the path to stardom. Now here's where things started going wrong. Moneybagg is from South Memphis, while Yo Gotti is from North Memphis, and that's a big deal in the streets. The north and south sides of Memphis have been beefing for a long time, and the city is known for its gang culture, with nearly every major gang having a presence. So when Moneybagg signed with Yo Gotti, someone from the north side, it was seen as a major violation of the unwritten street code.
He from North Memphis. You know what I'm saying? North side of Memphis. I'm from South Memphis. It's a hood in South Memphis. Walking homes, we don't get along, period, with that side. You know what I'm saying? With his side.
Moneybagg took the risk, wanting to leave the street drama behind and secure a better life, but it wasn't long before the backlash started. After signing with CMG, Moneybagg found himself in the middle of beefs with people he didn't even know. Suddenly, guys who he had never met were coming for him, hating on him just because he made that move. One of the first major public conflicts happened with NBA Youngboy, who he had actually worked with in 2017. The two dropped a joint mixtape called Fed Baby, and at first it seemed like everything was cool. But out of nowhere, Youngboy started dissing Moneybagg online, not promoting the project and throwing shade. Moneybagg, to his credit, kept it professional and didn't engage in the drama. Eventually, they reportedly squashed their beef behind the scenes, but that wasn't the end of his problems. Not long after that, another rapper, Rollo, who was signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 label, started taking shots at Moneybagg as well. Rollo wasn't just coming for Moneybagg either. He was also dissing Yo Gotti and Black Youngsta, who's another artist under CMG. In an interview with The Breakfast Club, Moneybagg explained where the situation seemed to stem from. Rollo, however, claimed Moneybagg got it all wrong, saying he wasn't trying to beef, but just wanted to connect with them for peace talks.
Beef with Moneybagg, yo, before the incident happened with him and I actually was happy as to go to the club to see him. I wanted to talk to the man. I ain't got no beef with nobody on CMG, dog. I don't even really want to deal with that shit I was coming to do.
Through it all, Moneybagg tried his best to keep his distance from the drama. With his star power rising and his shows bringing in $200K a night, he was basically an A-list rapper at this point. He made sure to stay out of Memphis as much as possible, only going back to take care of family. But even with all his success, his past wasn't done with him yet. The real trouble started when one of Moneybagg's old friends from the streets accused him of selling out. In 2020, things took a wild turn when a recording surfaced online of an inmate named Stupid Duke, who went way back with Moneybagg Yo, calling him a sellout.
So what's really going on with you and Moneybagg?
Moneybagg crossed the line, you know, it's forever, it's smoke for life.
Duke and Moneybagg grew up together and were both part of a crew called Young Mob before Moneybagg blew up. But according to Duke, once Moneybagg started getting fame and attention from the world, he switched up and left his day one homies behind. Instead of sticking with the people he grew up with, Duke said Moneybagg started rolling with the ops and left everyone else in the trenches. That's why Duke made it clear that Moneybagg can't ever come back to the city, and if he does, it's on sight.
Can't never come back from, so, you know, it's smoke. It used to be Young Mom, and he did a song with Dude to Kill Your Mom, so, you know, this forever. This something ain't gonna never stop.
Moneybagg, for his part, defended himself, saying his decision to sign with CMG and leave Memphis wasn't about betraying anyone. He explained that the issues between North and South Memphis were more about a rivalry, not any deep-seated beef. According to Moneybagg, no one from CMG ever disrespected or killed anyone from his old crew. It's just that the two sides had a history of not getting along. In his eyes, he wasn't jumping ship to break bread with people who hurt his people. He just saw an opportunity to escape the streets and took it.
You know what I'm saying? Just by me doing that deal, that situation, and seeing a bigger vision, they didn't understand that. You know what I'm saying? They ain't understand like the opportunity. Nobody didn't get killed over this anyway. Like, leave it alone. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's keep going. You
so
know what I'm saying?
Like, yo, you cops. No,
yeah,
man.
That's exactly. Other side, over the all right, cool.
When he put it like that, it seemed pretty reasonable. But as it turns out, Moneybagg wasn't telling the whole truth. If we rewind back to 2010, there was a pretty big incident that involved Yo Gotti, CMG's boss. Gotti and two other men turned themselves in after being involved in a shooting outside Level 2 nightclub over Thanksgiving weekend. The whole thing started after an argument between Yo Gotti and another Memphis rapper, OG Boo Dirty, and it ended with 6 people getting shot. Now here's where things get interesting. OG Boo Dirty is from South Memphis, the same part of town as Moneybagg, and they grew up together. To make things even messier, OG Boo Dirty is also Stupid Duke's brother. So when Duke went off on Moneybagg, it wasn't just about Moneybagg leaving his crew behind for fame. It was personal. There was real bloodshed between the two sides, and Young Mob didn't mess with CMG at all. In fact, back in 2013, OG Boo Dirty dropped a diss track aimed at Yo Gotti called Get MG. If you watch the video, you can even see Moneybagg in the background, so he definitely knew there was tension between his hood and CMG long before he ever signed that deal. The beef wasn't just about a North versus South rivalry. There were deeper issues, and Moneybagg wasn't completely innocent in how it all went down. Once all this came out, more people from Moneybagg's hood started coming at him, calling him a sellout for leaving his old crew behind. Moneybagg wasn't one to stay quiet though. He dropped a track called Thinking Out Loud in 2020 where he addressed everything. On the track, he explained that he never had any bad intentions and he wasn't trying to switch up on anyone. But he also made it clear that if his people felt some type of way about his moves, then so be it.
Hating on me, guess I'm a threat. Bad. I come where you from, why you won't see.
He even hinted that he had sent Stupid Duke some money before Duke started talking to the media, suggesting that Duke was only calling him out for clout. If things couldn't get more complicated, a man named H.D. White, who claims to be Moneybagg Yo's father, jumped into the drama, accusing the rapper of selling out as well. H.D. White posted an old picture of himself and Moneybagg back when they were hanging out with Moneybagg's old crew. The caption was pretty straightforward. Before the money when everything was cool, now he don't know us no more. He followed it up with another post where he threw even more shade, saying, "Your people will watch you struggle. Go help somebody who would never help them if the shoe was on the other foot. Then they say you did wish me happy birthday, F you and your birthday." This was a direct response to a line in one of Moneybagg's songs where he raps, "My daddy called me on my birthday, didn't even tell me, he just asked me for some cake." It's also worth noting that H.D. White is a rapper too, but Moneybagg has never featured him on any tracks, and vice versa. From the outside, it does seem kind of messed up that Moneybagg made it big and left his day ones behind, especially his dad. But then again, we don't know the full story. Maybe there was tension in their relationship long before the fame, or perhaps his old crew and even his own dad weren't supportive of his hustle. Maybe they were holding him back, and cutting ties was the only way for him to succeed. Then when he blew up, they tried to get in on his success and Moneybagg wasn't with it. For now, the drama between Moneybagg and his past has mostly stayed online. It hasn't escalated into anything serious, but in September 2020, it looked like things might have taken a dangerous turn. While standing outside the Aria Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, after celebrating his birthday, shots were fired in his direction. One of his girlfriend's homegirls was grazed by a bullet during the incident.
News overnight, a shooting outside the Aria. Police say a group of people near the valet got into an argument. At least one person fired some shots, maybe into the air. One woman, though, was injured. She was taken to the hospital, later sent home.
Moneybagg quickly denied being the target of the shooting, but the timing seemed a little too suspicious to just brush off. Next up is Big L. He was truly the favorite rapper of your favorite rapper. His impact on hip-hop was undeniable. With his sharp lyrics, insane wordplay, and unmatched lyrical ability, Big L was easily one of the most talented rappers of his generation.
While we hold gats, you hold knives. When you sold apes, we sold pies. When you roll bikes, we drove fives. There's no comparisons. I rock the blue face Prezi, pockets heavy with Chetty. I met these two lefties in a Chevy, Betty and Desi. They like to menage a trois and blase blah with El Coleon, cause I'm a suave star.
It really seemed like Big L was on the verge of greatness, ready to take over, but then everything changed in 1999. On February 15th, around 8:30 p.m., Big L was shot 9 times in the face and chest in a drive-by right outside 45 West 139th Street in Harlem, and the hip-hop world lost one of its brightest stars. There were few theories about what really went down, but the biggest one was that the man accused of killing him was someone from his own neighborhood, a childhood friend named Gerard Woodley. After Big L's tragic death sent shockwaves through Harlem and the rap world, the NYPD launched a full-scale investigation to figure out who was responsible and bring the killer to justice. Right from the jump, rumors and theories were flying, and one of the first things investigators considered was that the shooting might have been a retaliation hit. At the center of this theory was Big L's older brother, Lee. Lee, also known as Big Lee, was reportedly involved in a conflict with Gerard Woodley, one of Big L's childhood friends. The streets were buzzing with talk that because Lee was locked up at the time, Woodley had decided to settle the score by going after Big L instead.
The bull happens. Then, the other friend couldn't get Big Lee because Big Lee was locked up. So what they do? They get Big L.
Now, here's where it gets even more twisted. Woodley wasn't just some random guy from the block. He and Big L had grown up together in Harlem, living just a few streets apart. They had been tight for years, and Woodley even appeared on the cover of Big L's debut album, Lifestyle's OV Da Poor and Dangerous. To think that someone so close to him could gun him down in cold blood was almost too much for people to wrap their heads around. About 3 months after the shooting, police arrested Woodley as the prime suspect in Big L's murder. But despite all the evidence the police believed they had, the case against Woodley didn't hold up in court. With no solid proof to convict him, the NYPD eventually released Woodley, much to the frustration of Big L's family, friends, and fans.